Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just got to see us. Oh, and there we are.
You're live.
All right. Hi, everyone. It's Ruthkin from Montier. I apologize for the delay. I'm here with His Grace Sven from CAID, and I just want to, hey, I just want to thank my sister for helping us go live tonight. For some reason, my computer didn't want to talk to Facebook, so there you go. I don't know if you've ever seen any of these, Your Grace, but I almost start all of them with your origin story. So if you can start with like how you found the SCA and when, where, that would be great.
I started playing SCA in about 1984, 85 in Lancaster. They formed a new group there at Denora, so I was one of the founding members of that group, and I joined them then. Been playing ever since.
Okay, that was very fast.
Yeah, I heard about it D&D years ago. I read in the Dragon magazine when I was like 12, but then I want to try that, and I heard about it. It's like, I got to go try this. So I went to a few events, had a great time. Fought my first war, got killed, had a great time. It's like, I got to do this forever.
So how did you get your armor together and everything? Was that?
Well, we had a bunch of people in the group that all wanted to fight. So we used to go to a practice down in Altavia. We drive down there once a week. We'd all do slow work together. And we tried making armor, and we didn't know what we were doing. So after about 8 months, we got one suit of armor together for 4 guys. And we went to a practice where we could get authorized because there was a war the next week. So we all put the armor on, fought one after the other. We fought some guy named Bellatrix. Stephen of Bellatrix was there.
Oh, just some guy.
Yeah, but Bellatrix was still a legend at that time. So, and he beat us all up and said, "You're fine, go fight, have fun." So we all started at the same time and went from there.
That's cool. So when did you get your own armor together?
My own armor, I started at the same time. It took me about a year or so. So I probably had my own first set together by when I was 19 or 20.
Okay. And did somebody help you or?
Oh yeah, a lot of people helped me. I bought some stuff and I had some friends help me make things and cobbled and begged and did that. So
was the fighting the part that you fell in love with first?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, without a doubt. So.
Okay. And how did you discover the other parts?
Well, I started fighting. I just did nothing but that. I was a typical stick jock. I had no garb. I had crappy armor. I just fought. And as I got better, people kept trying to push me to other things, and I was very stubborn. So I said, I don't do that. I don't want to be a knight. I just want to be a fighter. And I pitted myself into a corner. So after about 10 years, I was in a situation where I was a really good fighter, but I had crappy garb and crappy armor, and was that guy in the corner.
So how did you change your viewpoint from not wanting to be a knight and just sort of wanting to be over in the corner to?
Well, what happened was I got knighted.
Oh.
I didn't really want to. It just kind of happened, because the knights liked me, or half of the knights liked me, half of them didn't like me. So I getting ready for an unbelted tournament, getting ready to train for it, went down to the local practice. The king shows up. He says, "Hey, you want to be a knight?" It's like, oh, no, but I guess I have to. So.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, my direct words were, "Oh shit," when he asked me.
So did you have a knight?
I was squire to Yaroslav. I still am squire to Yaroslav.
Oh,
for those who don't know, Yaroslav is one of the knights of CAID who has about 80 or 90 squires now. So it's like joining fraternity.
Okay, well, tell me about that. Like, how does somebody get 80 or 90 squires? And did you ask him, or he asked you, or?
He asked me. And the way you get them in people is you ask a lot. So this is back in, I got squired in about 1990, I would say. And at the time in CAID, there was the downtown main part of CAID where all the knights and people lived, and there were the outskirts and such. And if you lived in the outskirts, you pretty much had no chance unless you drove down to mainland CAID to hook up with a knight. So Yaroslav just started squiring a war band. He'd go to war and say, "Hey, you guys want to be squires?" And he'd squire a whole war band at a time. And it became kind of a running joke, so that at this point he's got about 80 squires, and now he's got squires that are already knights, counts, dukes. He doesn't care. He's like, "Sure, you're going to be a squire," and everyone loves to do it because it's like joining fraternity. I'm number 22, by the way.
You're number 22?
Yeah.
So tell me how that works. Is it sort of just a fun thing that you're his squire, or is there actually some sort of fealty relationship?
That's everyone's own squire knight relationship is different. So he'll basically, however you want to work it with him.
Okay.
He likes to have, he's gotten 3 squires knighted so far. He's gotten 3 squires have been made pelicans. I'm not sure how many laurels he has, but. And some of
Okay.
the people like to fight and train, and some of them just want to be a member of a household. They want to wear a red belt and walk around a war saying they're squires.
Well, how does it work for you since you're a Duke and a Knight and still his squire?
Works just fine.
Okay.
I like Yaroslav. He's my friend, so I always joke about the tape never washes off. So.
Okay. But you don't have, like, is it more of just sort of a symbolic thing
Yeah,
or?
definitely.
Okay. All right. That's what I was trying to understand.
Yeah.
So did he mentor you through fighting, or did somebody else teach you how to fight?
Well, after he sparred me, he is a Florentine fighter. We walked out one day, so I'm going to teach you how to fight against Florentine. So I fought him for about 5 minutes, and I pretty much worked him over. He said, "All right, you've got that." So
You're a lefty, right?
I'm a lefty, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yaroslav is too, by the way, but he fights Florentine lefty, which is a different style. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. Have you always been a lefty? Are you a natural lefty?
yes,
Okay.
I can fight right-handed sometimes just for training and for Florentine, but I'm lefty very much so.
And did you start out with sword and heater?
I started off with sword and a 24-inch side mount round.
Okay.
At the time, everyone was told you always have to fight with a side mount round to start, otherwise you get bad habits. So I started with that. I suffered for about 4 or 5 years, just got good at the front of my legs, and then switched to a side mount to a center punch round, and life got much better.
Okay. And you just did that on your own? Like you just decided you wanted to explore different shields?
Yeah, well, one of the knights down here had a center punch, and I borrowed it once. Like I liked the shield, and like I went home that night, and made my own because it worked so much better than what I was using.
And did you stay with the center mount?
Yeah, I still use a center mount now. I went from a round to an oval over the years. I went from a 24 to a 25 round to a 27 round to now I'm using a 36 by 24 oval because I got old and can't block my legs anymore.
I love how much passive defense the oval has. It's very cool that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about your path on fighting. If you didn't have this ambition to be a knight, what did you like about fighting, and what were you training for, and how were you training?
The fighting is just fun to do. I like to get better. I like to progress. So you fight somebody who beats you up, the next time you fight him, he still beats you, but not so bad. And eventually you can take him half the time. That's what I really enjoy about the game. So the progression of training and getting better as a fighter.
Okay. And how did you do that for yourself before you got knighted? Like how did you train?
I didn't have a philosophy. I went to a lot of practices. I just go to practice all the time, fight all the time, die all the time, and hopefully learn some stuff.
Okay. Did you do things in addition to go to fight practice?
Oh, going to the gym, of course. You got to train. You have to get good shape helps, of course. Cardio is very important.
Okay. And did you do pel work? Are you a pel work person?
I do pel work, but not as much as I should. Like during the pandemic, I have a pel in my house and I use it once a week. I should do it every day and I don't.
Okay. I just like to know what tools people use. I'm not shaming you or anything.
Not at all. I see it. I should do it. I feel guilty, but I don't care that much. So.
Okay. So besides getting better, what was your goal? Did you always want to win a crown?
Yeah, I wanted to be a duke actually, because
okay,
that's why we're the dukes now. And when I was training up for it, the big word for me was that when you actually win the first crown, you don't get a fight for 6 months while you're sitting in the crown. At the time, this was important. After you actually win, you realize, well, you're busy doing other things.
Right. Right. So when you won your first time, were you already knighted?
Yeah, I'd been a knight for about 5 years at the time. So.
Okay. And were you, in CAID, is it culturally acceptable for unbelts to fight crown?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So were you fighting crown before you got knighted?
I fought a few crowns before I got knighted.
Okay.
But mostly I didn't start doing crowns until after I got the belt. So.
Okay. Did you ever have a problem with tourney head?
Tourney head, not really. I had a problem with crown head for quite a while.
Okay. How did you overcome that?
Well, I won tournaments all the time, but you get the crown and suddenly you get toward the end, you can see the final is like, oh no, I'm just going to die, and you fall apart. So the first crown I won, I was in Malaysia on Wednesday afternoon. I got on a plane, flew back to Los Angeles, landed Wednesday afternoon again because of the time difference. Right. Went home, or this was Friday. I landed Thursday. I left the airport, left Thursday, landed Thursday. Friday, I kind of hung out at the house, did nothing. Saturday, I went to Crown, walked up to the door, signed my name. Bought the first round, didn't think about it. Bought the second round, didn't think about it. Bought the third round, just one round at a time. Suddenly you're in the finals against Ed. It's like, oh, I can beat Ed. So I beat Ed. It's like, oh, cool. And I remember I was walking back to my car and people started bowing at me. I looked at my phone to see what they're bowing at. It's like, oh, they're bowing at me. I won, didn't I?
Yes.
Because I basically you block everything out. Just think about the next round. This round's all. If you can get that down to this one fight, then you're in a good spot.
And do you think coming back from Malaysia and just sort of like not having time to stress about it was helpful for you to just be calm?
Yeah, the jet lag just helps so much that you get there, you're just like, okay, first round, second round, you're like, yeah, whatever. You walk out, you fight a fight. And,
The secret is jet lag.
yeah. For me, it works.
I think that's cool because a lot of the people I've talked to, something else is going on, and when they go into the crown, or at least the first crown that they win, it's usually there's just no expectation, and so you've sort of released yourself to fight well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it sounds like you're saying as well. There was no expectation. You were jet lagged. I don't know. Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, I hope to win. Like
Right.
when I look at the list, like I have a shot at this crown, there's a legitimate chance for me to win this thing. And you get there like, oh, okay. And each round pops up. I'm fighting this guy and fighting this guy. Oh, he's a tough fighter. I can beat him. And
Are you the kind of person that fights between rounds?
I used to fight constantly between rounds. Now, not as much. So.
And is that more of an age thing or stamina
Yeah, I
thing?
think it's an age thing and just changing my style. It's weird because I like to fight now, but when I was 20, I loved to fight. I lived to fight. I'd wake in the morning, it's like, I get to fight today, yay! And there's no practice tonight, boo. And it's still that way now, but I get to practice, it's like, they're fighting, and I'm like, oh God, I gotta do it. Now it's like, oh, they're hitting each other. I guess I can do this. You put your armor on, it's still fun to do, but it's not that, must fight, must go.
Yeah. So how long from when you first started fighting to winning your first crown?
I started when I was either 19 or 20, and I won my first crown at 40, so that's 20 years.
Okay. So that's a pretty long time.
Well, I had a huge accident in 1995.
Okay.
I've been fighting for about 10 years now. Yeah, and I was really good. I was on the track to be a knight, but I was a good enough fighter to be a knight, but I had all the other issues. So they were looking at me like, "Is he going to change? Is he going to get better?" And then I was in a head-on collision when I was driving down to fighting practice, and that knocked me back a couple of years. Because that takes it out of you.
Yeah, definitely. So coming back from that, I mean, did you have to like rehab yourself to learn how to walk again and all that kind of thing? Or?
Oh yeah, I had to walk again and had to limp away. I started fighting way too soon. My first practice back, I was fighting from the ground because I couldn't stand.
Wow. So you really did love to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first tournament back, I walked out on the field with crutches, like hand the crutches to the marshals, I'd kneel down and fight. And I got to the semifinals because people didn't know what to do. They walk up like, should I fight him? I just hit him. And finally, one of the guys just jumped me and killed me because I shouldn't have been out there. But
Right. So did you find when you came back from that your style of fighting changed?
yes.
How so? And how did you account for that or deal with that?
Well, before that, I was much more mobile. I could move and step and such, and then my footwork got very bad after that. So I switched to a bigger shield, and I got more defensive. And I learned the defense and changed things around, and I got to a more defensive, static blocking kind of thing. So longer fights take that way.
So I think I fought you before, but like one of the things I hear about when people talk about your fighting is that you're sort of Gumby-ish.
I've heard that too.
Okay. So your mobility came back, right? Is that an accurate depiction of you, that you're sort of Gumby-ish?
Yeah, but that's not so much the leg, that's the arms. I'm tall and lanky. My arms are quite long, so I can reach high, and I throw weird offside timing shots and land in unusual places. And people are like, how did you land that shot?
Okay. So it's sort of like, how does he even get there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Before lefty, I can reach places that most people can. And it's like,
okay. So let's go back to the whole getting offered your knighting and all of that. Did you get knighted at the same time you were offered?
no. I was actually offered at a practice, which was like kind of very unusual for CAID. But
That is unusual, I think, for almost anywhere. So tell me about that.
well, what had happened was we had an event the week before, and for some reason I just had this nagging feeling that the king was going to offer me a belt, and I didn't want to take one yet because I wanted to fight our unbelted tournament one last time. So I skipped that practice, and I went to work the next day. And then my worker, the SCA company, was like 3 or 4 nights there, and one of the nights says, "Hey, congratulations!" Like, for what? It's like, "Oh, nothing." And then, "Hey, you going to practice tonight?" Like, maybe. So I drive to practice, and the king's there, and it's like, well, this is odd. And he offered me knighthood. So I said, shit, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. So I went to the unbelted the next week to find it, and it rained out, so I couldn't find it anywhere.
Okay. So did you know that you're going to say yes, and did you prepare for the knighting?
I wasn't sure about that, so I would have said no, but it was my choice. But my knight wanted me to do it. My girlfriend wanted me to do it. So I was like, all right. I found out after the fact, about 10 years later, that I did not get the votes, because CAID is one of those kingdoms where the knights have enough power that they haven't make an official recommendation. Most kingdoms don't do that. I think CAID is supposed to be 2/3, and I found out 10 years later I did not get the vote. If I'd known at the time, I would have said no, but at the time I thought I had it, so I went ahead and did it.
Well, right. I mean, if the king offers, you think you passed the hurdle, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting too, because it's definitely not a vote where I'm from.
No, I've been to councils in other kingdoms too, and CAID is very unusual though. In most kingdoms, the king walks up and says, "What do you think? What do you think?" And he hears everyone's opinion, says, "I'm going to do it or I'm not going to do it." It's entirely the king's choice.
Yeah, that's much more like how it is up here. We give our opinion, and the king can choose to follow it or not.
He polls enough. We ask the knights, they say, and then he makes a decision.
Right. So what was your view of the knights before you got knighted? Like, why were you hesitant about wanting to be a knight?
Well, I was in the outskirts. I was definitely a stick doc, and a lot of it was my own fault, and I knew it. And I painted myself into a corner because I made decisions when I was young that I couldn't get out of because I'd made them already, and I was too arrogant or pride to say, yeah, I should do that. I should get garb. I should do service. I should learn how to make armor and such.
When you start, I mean, because you have a lot of really beautiful clothes, and that comes from reigning. I think you've reigned 6 times. Is that right?
4.
What?
4.
4 times. Okay.
Yeah.
Why did Oz say 6 times last night? I should have just looked it up and not trusted Oz, but whatever. Never trust Oz. But you have a lot of beautiful clothes. So when you decided that you were going to sort of invest in looking the part as well, did you find that part fun?
I did, and I'll freely admit that the clothes, I had almost nothing to do with that. Girlfriends decided that you have to look better, so one of my girlfriends wanted to give me knighted, so she started dressing me better. I got knighted. Once I won crown, and everybody dresses you. And at that point, it's a lot easier because you have a wardrobe full of stuff.
Right. Because you are on the outskirts of the kingdom, what did you find that your role changed once you were knighted? Like, were you more of a leader in your area?
A little bit, but I never really played in my local building that much because they didn't do any fighting up in Denver so I used to drive down to the local practice down in, an hour away. Like I used to fight it down there. So I've always played kind of on a kingdom level versus on a barony level.
Okay.
CAID's small enough where you can do that. If you don't like your barony, you can drive to 2 other baronies in an hour's distance. So I can go to a practice in one barony on Monday, a different practice on Tuesday, and a different one on Thursday, and only have to drive 2 hours each time or less. So.
Okay. Has your view of knighthood changed since you've gotten in?
Oh yeah, it kind of has to. So.
Right. So how so? So explain that.
Well, I'll freely admit that when I became a knight, I lost respect for knights. It's something that happens to me all the time. I became a duke. I lost respect for dukes just because I became one. Like, oh, anybody can do it then. So
yeah. So if you're a member, it's not a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, anyone can do that. I see how it works.
I can do it. Anyone can do it. It's not special.
Yeah.
Really? Is that your attitude?
Well, no, but I mean.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But has it evolved since then? I mean, are you still sort of, I mean, what do you think of knighthood now?
Honestly, I don't really care about it. I mean, I've been a knight for 20 years now, 19 years. Okay. And so I'm used to it. But when I wasn't a knight, it didn't really bother me too much. And
okay. So you don't feel some immense pressure to live up to a certain thing as part of your knighthood or whatever?
No, not really.
Okay. That's cool. I love that attitude.
What? Good commentary for me though.
What'd she say?
Because I'm a liar.
Oh, you're a liar. Okay. He's all cool and collected over here.
Oh,
and she's totally ratting you out. I love it. That's funny. Okay. So your knighting proper, did you have like a vigil or anything like
Yeah.
that?
Mhm.
Yeah. So what did you do? What kind of vigil?
I had my vigil at a rave. We had a fog machine and we had people that were dropping ecstasy and such. It was interesting.
Really?
I didn't plan it, somebody else did. They said, we're having your vigil here and the rave popped up around it. So I'm like, okay.
Okay. That's cool. So
Yeah.
was it the kind of vigil where people actually gave you advice, or was it just like sort
Yeah.
of more of a
I
party?
was in the room in the back. So there was a party going out in front and then, people would walk in and get the standard, you got like your standard visual things, like your words have importance now, people listen to you.
Yeah. Was it in costume or?
Oh,
no?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it was like an SCA costume rave?
Regular thing, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That is the most unique thing I've ever heard. That's pretty cool. You sound like a very unique guy.
I try to be.
All right. All right. So tell me about your knighting. Was that unique?
Not particularly. I mean, it was just a story. It was somewhat controversial, so a lot of the knights that didn't attend because they didn't think I was worthy,
Okay.
which is sad, but that's what it was. So that was 20 years ago. You don't worry about that kind of thing now.
Did they tell you that?
Huh?
Did they tell you that they didn't think you were worthy and that they were boycotting your knighting, or?
Some of them did, but most of them just ignored it and just didn't show up. It was kind of obvious though. So
Okay. So after you got knighted, did you feel like you had to like mend the fences there, or did?
I didn't feel I had to. It just kind of happened because, like I say, my girlfriend had been trying to get me knighted for years, so she'd been buying me better garb. So I was wearing that, and my armor was better. So I just kind of gradually blended into looking better and acting better.
Okay.
And once you win a crown, that changes everything. So,
How so?
well, as king, of course, you're stepping up, and everything you do makes you're the king. And when you step down and you're counting, then suddenly you're like important, which I never thought I was, but
But people think you're important.
exactly, yeah.
Okay. And did you find that after you stepped down and you were a count that your words had more importance?
They probably did, but I didn't really notice.
Yeah. Just because you're laid back.
Yeah.
All right.
I have no particular agenda either. There's nothing I'm trying to push, so I don't really care.
I figured you probably didn't have an agenda. You don't sound like an agenda guy.
Makes things a lot easier.
So when you won the first time, and not being an agenda guy, what were your plans for reigning? Like, what did you just want to have a super fun reign? Because I remember. Okay.
The first reign for most people is like, just get through it. Don't have anything horrible happen, And a lot of times people who have plans will like the second reign. That's when I'm going to make my changes and such. In my second reign, I had nothing I wanted to change because, like, I think the SE is pretty cool the way it is. So.
Okay. So did you like see yourself as the captain of the fun, or like how did you view your role as king?
Well, the first two reigns I did with Colfinna, if you know her.
Yeah.
He was definitely captain of the fun.
Okay.
So I was a straight man for her. She would run everything, and I would just walk around and kind of watch it. And it was great to be with. It was a lot of fun being part of that whole thing. But she was the leader. I was just the follower. Definitely.
Okay. I think that's funny that you would be the straight man.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that those were super fun reigns. Yes.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. She was quite a force of nature.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what was the most surprising thing for you when you reigned the first time?
Surprising? Yeah, I mean, just being in charge of everything is weird and odd. So I'm not used to being the center of things and everyone asking my opinion and actually caring, and that was kind of weird. But
did you because you're very laid back, did you feel like you were invested in things that maybe you never thought you would be invested in?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Well, the first of my reigns was the only reign we had any real issues to deal with too. We had to deal with a prior duke who was out of control, so I had to take care of that. And that basically just dominated the entire first reign. We spent all of the effort and time taking care of that. So the second reign was much easier, much more laid back because we didn't have any of that stuff going on. So
that's okay. Yeah, the having to banish people is icky. Yes.
What?
Nothing. Never mind. So your second reign, then you didn't have like the bad stuff that you had to deal with. What was the focus for your second reign?
Pretty much just to have fun and get through it, be a dude.
Okay. So
one cool thing about, or not, maybe not done one cool thing, but one definitely cool thing about the reigns was that since Colfin and I were both knights, before we ever won, we decided that if we ever got a knight anybody, they were going to get 2 buffets.
did you buffet them at the same time? I
buffeted them first and she buffeted them second.
All right. I want like somebody to do it from the right and the left.
Yeah, we never tried that, but we didn't get knighted anybody the first ring. The second ring we did 3. So the first person we knighted was sort of Christian, who was like a combat vet. I think he was like a ranger or something. So a total badass. He would kick my ass in any sort of sport, except for SA fighting, that would be pretty good at. And he decided he wanted to get buffeted by getting smacked in the face. And I don't want to hit anybody in the face. I've heard stories about breaking ears and such. So we had this whole thing. I had talked to people like, all right, here's what you do. And they trained me how to do it. So it came time for the buffet. I said, let's hit the second to last blow. And I go for the buffet and I swing and I just barely touch his face. And I miss him. Like, oh, shit, I missed. You can see his eyes going, oh, shit, I missed. And then Colpina says, and let this be the last. And she nails him with a shot and knocked him down. So she was like, did you see my buffet? For the next week, she was dancing around. Did you see the buffet?
That's amazing.
So a month later, we go to Hawaii and we're knighting a guy in Hawaii. And this is a guy who's like 5'7", 5'8", about 160. And I don't give him a chance. I'm gonna give him a buff to the shoulder. So I go first. Let's do the second to last blow. And I hit him right across. I knock him flat, knock him back. Knight's behind him, catch him, and stand him back up like we're supposed to. And then Colpina goes for her shot. Now Colpina's shoulders had been bugging her all day long, so she didn't even run out to Hawaii. So she goes for the shot and she misses and hits him directly in the center of the sternum and breaks his sternum.
She broke his sternum?
He broke his sternum. And I'm like, okay. So the next month we had the third guy, and I realized that I can't win. She will kill a fool before she lets me get a better buffet. So I just hit him and then she hit him harder because that was required with her. So.
And did they all know they were going to get 2?
I'm not sure.
Okay. That wasn't something you guys warned them of.
I don't think so, but when I said, let's do the second to last blow, and then they got hit, and then she hit him again, so.
I love it. That's very, very fun. I also love that she had to outdo you. That's
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. Very cool. So what was the motivation for you to reign more than twice?
Another girlfriend who wanted to be queen.
Okay. Okay.
I'll freely admit that, the first 2 were for me. You roll for your consort, yeah, but it's an ego thing. But when you get 2 and you're a duke, that makes things a lot easier because you win 2 or 5 or 10, you're still a duke.
Right.
I've been winning 4. I'm freely going to admit that I'm proud of winning the extra ones, so it definitely gave my ego a boost, but not as much as hers because she wanted the leagues, or she wanted to be a queen.
Okay.
I'm trying to win one more because I made a promise to a friend that I'd win a crown for her.
So you've had 3 different queens?
I've had 2 so far.
2. Okay. 2.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a third.
Oh, you're trying. Okay, the third.
Yeah.
And that's the woman that I have the picture of you with. She's
that's
okay.
She's one of the pelicans out here. I'm not dating these days. We're just friends, and
yeah.
I promised her like 10 years ago I'd win a crown, and so I'm trying to make that promise come true.
Cool. That's
come close twice, but haven't done it yet.
Hasn't happened yet. Still working on it.
Yep.
How do you train, like if we weren't in COVID times, because it's hard to keep your motivation up, how would you be training now to win another crown?
I would go to practice twice a week. I'd go to a tournament every weekend if I could, and I would hit the gym 4 or 5 times a week, mostly doing cardio, lots of stair climbers and upper body, lower body, whatever, but primarily just 20 minutes of cardio over and over. 2 of the 4 crowns I won, and the last spot I could look across my opponent and see that they were tired, and I had plenty of gas left. And that is a fantastic feeling when you know it's like, I can fight you all day long. Let's go.
Okay, so cardio you think is really important.
Cardio, yeah. Number 1.
Okay. On tourney day, what role does your consort play for you?
Frankly, almost none.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of people say it's just your motivation and such. We get there together, but when I put the hat on, I make my salutes to her, and then my mind goes into game mode, and I'm busy fighting and such. And I don't even think about the concert at all. It's over.
Do you have something you do on tourney day to get you in the right mind frame?
On tourney day, not specifically. For individual fights, I do. I'll use the salutes and such as part to kind of focus myself. You know, when you're looking at your opponent. If it's someone you fought before, you think, look, when last I fought him, what happened? What do you do? What do you like to throw? How does this work? If somebody you haven't fought before, are they tall? Are they short? Are they left-handed? Are they right-handed? You get an idea how they're going to fight, what they're going to do. So you make kind of a plan, not too detailed. Just I have an idea how I would like to go. I expect to throw these shots. They're going to work this side, trying to hit here. I'm going to try to stop that. That's pretty much where I go with that.
Okay. Different people like need different things to get themselves in the right mind frame. Are you like a fun person, like singing, or are you one of these serious people?
I will give you an answer.
An answer? Is it a truthful answer?
It is a truthful answer.
Okay.
It's a question I ask people. I have finaled in a couple of crowns within 9. And I think it was the second or third crown I finaled in. I had a song stuck in my head. The song was Sunshine Lollipops by Leslie Gore. Sunshine Lollipops. And for some reason it was in my head and they just couldn't get out. So they kept singing to me all day long and teasing me. And I was in the finals, happy, bouncing around. And then I went to the final. I won my second crown. I was fighting against His Grace Duke, or His Grace Dietrich, who is very croissant, very dignified. And the song in my head was Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves. I'm walking on sunshine. I'm just there bouncing around, and she's up there very story. And I'm just happy, smiling, and giggling, having a great time. And he hit the ground second time. I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to be a Duke. And that, by the way, is a really cool film.
Yeah.
And so since then, I picked, I did like to pick happy, lucky songs. So I asked people, what would you pick to get yourself in the right frame of mind if you have time to get a glass of water and play one song to fight the finals of crown? What's your answer?
It's actually songs that you don't think will get you there. Like what's Crimson and Clover is a song that I fight really well to when I'm singing it in my head. That doesn't sound like it would be.
Version or the other one?
Which one?
You like Joan Jett's version or the what is the original?
The original, the slower version.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know why, but it's just
Tommy Shandell, yeah, he does it.
What?
It's Tommy Shandell, I think, who does it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's whatever makes you smile, makes you like you're in a happy spot. It's where you need to be. So some people want to play death metal, so they're like ready to kill and knock people down, and that's not what I want. Because they can put me in the wrong spot.
Yeah, that's not me either. Like I don't like to fight angry.
The best fight they have, I'm giggling, my opponent's giggling, we're both having a great time. That's what I want to have happen.
Yeah. And so it sounds like you have songs with sun in them, sunshine. Yeah. So when you're third and fourth crown, did you have songs?
Yes, I use Aiko Aiko. I've used
Aiko, that's a good one.
There's a cartoon of Phineas and Ferb.
Yes.
They made a one-hit wonder song called Itchy Itchy Goo, Baby I Love You, which is this
baby I love you. Yes, I have a kid.
My second or my fourth crown, I won with that one. So and the whole group was singing that in the line as we walked in there.
So you song bombed everyone.
Yeah, the Sweet Judy Blue Eyes by Carly Sills and Nash. Thing that put me in happy with, make me smile, make me giggle. That's what I want to have.
Very cool.
We were talking about the next. If I ever final again, I'm thinking about either doing everybody was Kung Fu Fighting, is what's right in my list right now.
So if you had a theme song, what would it be? Would it be one of those?
Sure. It changed me today, but it's just something happy and fun.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah, somebody says that the song I'm talking about is Tommy James and the Shondells. So you're right, the Shondells. And yeah, that's funny. Okay. When you reigned, did you do any kind of like because you seem like a fun guy, like did you do any sort of like themey things for your coronations or your step downs?
For the second step down, we did a little stick. We had Duke Guillaume before us, not directly before us, but 2 or 3 ranks before us, and he and his consort did a thing called Captain CAID, our CAID man, and our CAID girl, and
Like Captain Caveman, but Captain
Yeah, it
CAID.
was Captain CAID, I think so.
Okay.
And so when we stepped down the second time, we brought them in and had them induct us in their league, and we all went, did some fun stuff.
Yeah. Cool. How do you pick your champions in CAID? Do you get to choose?
Oh, for Queen's Champion and King's Champion? The King's Champion is by default, it's usually the person who takes second place in crown.
Okay.
But some kings will opt to choose somebody themselves. So
Okay.
it's been both ways. And the Queen's Champion is the tournament. It's one of the more prestigious tournaments we have. So.
Okay.
Probably the most prestigious tournament for rapier fighters.
It's a rapier champion?
Yeah, well, the champions, they have a rapier champion and a heavy weapons champion. They'll also have like a archery champion and stuff like that. But for the rapier, that's probably the most prestigious tournament we have in the kingdom.
Yeah, I think that's true for us too. I think that the Queen's Rapier Champion is the most prestigious. Okay.
Queen's Champion for heavies is probably my favorite tournament. It's a really enjoyable one because you get a lot of good fighters that don't want to be king. They want to fight this and win a tournament and not have to do anything.
Is the format set up by the king?
It is, but the default is double elimination. So.
Okay.
And it's usually one of the larger tournaments. We'll get between 50 and 100 fighters, depending upon the popularity of the crown and how big the US is at the time.
Do you, when you guys switch, do you get a new champion each time, or is the champion like a year long?
Champion 6 months, so it's one for each reign.
Okay, I like that. We don't do that here. It's like a year long.
Yeah, that's you should win for the individual crown, not for the.
And it's an awful long time to stand behind the thrones. Like
yeah.
I think that would super suck for you guys because you come in second and you don't get to do the king job, but then you stand behind the thrones for the whole time.
Well, they replaced the sword, but they used to have this king champion got a special sword, and the hilt had a big L on it, so we call it the loser sword.
That's awful. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from being king's champion or kingdom champion. It's a great thing. Yeah.
I always wonder about the wisdom of having your second place person give a sword and have him stand behind you. You stand there like, awesome.
That is a little iffy there. Definitely iffy. So I know when you reigned with Colfina, you guys traveled a lot, right? Like to a lot of foreign wars. How was that being king at foreign wars? Like, are you a melee person?
No, I don't like fighting wars. I fight them because I'm supposed to, but I fight and such. But being king at a foreign war is great because you have no responsibility. You have to go to a state dinner and one court, and that's about it. The rest of the time you're just walking around with a hat on. Everyone gives you beer and stuff. You can cut the front of all the lines at Penzic. It's really great.
So if you're not, I'm not a melee person either. So if you're not a melee person, do you guys have like a warlord or somebody that will run the troops for you?
Oh, we have a captain general and such. When I'm king, of course, I fight the melee because that's
right. It's part of the job.
Yeah, and I'll fight the heavy melees. I also fight the rapier melees, which I enjoy more actually.
Okay.
Because there's no such thing as light shot. So.
But there's too heavy, right? Like
yeah. But they seem to be a lot more calm.
Yeah. Have you always fought rapier, or was that something you picked up as crown?
I fought fencing in high school.
Okay.
So I did that before, and it kind of translates over a little bit. So, and I did it as crown, especially because the rapier people love it when you come out and play with them.
Were there other things that you picked up as crown to involve more of your populace in your reign?
I tried to do everything in terms of like you go to you shoot archery, you go fight the rapier fight, try everything you can. So
are there things that you discovered that you liked through reigning?
I like the rapier. That's fun. I fought a few tournaments in the rapier since then, but the problem is switching armor from one to the other because you can wear the heavy armor, but then I can't feel any shots. And I don't want to be that guy out there who's like not taking anything.
Right. Do you have any aspirations on the rapier field? Would you like to be a mod? No.
The idea is nice. The problem with the mods is that they're very, very critical. They have to teach and do this, and their requirements are much harder than me going to night. So, and I barely got to the night fight, and I had kind of taken with that. So,
do you have dependents like squires?
No, no, I had two squires. They both graduated.
Okay, so you got they both got knighted.
Well, one got knighted, one got laureled. So.
Okay. Okay. When you so you don't have any now, but when you do have squires, do you ask or do you require someone to ask you?
The two I've had so far, I've asked, but if somebody asked me, I would certainly listen to them.
Okay. Do you look for anything in particular in a student?
No, it's someone who wants to play. It's kind of odd because some knights were basically they want their all take squires if they expect to get knighted. I don't know that would be a requirement for me or not. If somebody just wanted to be a squire for whatever reason, they had a good reason. I'd ask them why they wanted to do it and why me, and they had good reasons. I'd say sure.
Okay.
I told you before, I'm a Yari squire with about 75 of it, so it's not that big a deal to them. I mean, some of them are definitely trying to get knighted, but some of them are just happy to have a red belt. So.
Right. Well, yeah. Okay. I'm trying to wrap my head around this whole 75 squires thing because
yeah. Well, it started as kind of a joke, and then the joke kind of grew. For instance, one of our laurels here caught Yaroslav about 2 years ago by saying, "Hey, I'm your squire too." And he's like, "You are? What number?" And like, "What sick do you want?"
I guess you have that many, you probably be like, "Oh, maybe I did square you. I don't know."
We have a website and there's a list, but I used to be 21 and I got bumped to 22 because they did a recount of some sort. So
interesting. Do you guys fight together in melees like all the squires?
We have in the past had a squires versus the known world melee at several wars, but we haven't done that in probably 5 years for the last one and 20 for the one before that because my dad's gonna get a wee bit older now. So
when you do fight melees, you run your sword and board?
Usually.
Okay.
I'll fight like spear. I'm not very good at spear. I'll take a spear to war if this guy's supposed to. But I find sword and board it's easier to fight pickups afterwards. So I just fight pickups until I get killed or fight that.
That's exactly my thinking as well. If I already have it on the field, I get all my pickups.
And I've also discovered that sometimes when the arrow gets pretty close to me, that was close enough, I'll take that. Especially in bridge battles, because bridge battles are boring as hell.
The problem with being from Ontier, like in going to any big wars, they were always a very small contingent. So we're always like the backup troops. And so we're always fighting pickups in the backfield. So,
yeah.
You know, why even bring a spear? But I don't know. Anyway. All right. Well, have we not covered something that you would like to cover?
Not really.
No? I feel like you have a lot of stories to tell me, and I have to like pry them out of you.
I have made a boast. We have a tournament out here which is called the Tourney of Virtue, which is based on the Krapow tournament from the West.
Yeah. And
we have a speaking thing. Before the tournament starts, you have to say something about yourself and pass it around. So the first time we had one was about 10 years ago. And I made a statement at that tournament, which I can't prove, but I think it's true. The statement I made was that I've lost more tournament fights than anybody else in history of CAID. And since that statement 10 years ago, I've fought for 10 years and lost a bunch more tournaments. I still think that statement's true.
Okay. So are you saying that like a Shawnism, like failing is like the key to success, or?
For me, it is. I learn more from losing than I do from winning.
Okay.
I fought a tournament, it's probably about 5 or 6 years ago, really 10 years ago, where it was. And in the first round, I fought my squire, and she stabbed me dead in the face. Beautiful shot, nice shot. So I stood up and said, "Good shot. I'm not dying again." And I proceeded to win the rest of the tournament without losing other fights. And today I could not tell you who I fought, any other fights, any shot I threw, how I killed them. But I can tell you that my squire never killed me that shot again.
Yeah.
So I think I learned what I was supposed to in that one.
How many finals have you been in that you haven't won?
That I haven't won? In Crown or in general?
Crown.
5. I've been in 9, I've won 4, so 5.
So 5. Okay. And is there a different feeling mentally in those tourneys than there are in the ones that you win? Like
first Crown I ever finaled in, I lost the fight. I lost the final 6 weeks before layoff. because it was going to be best of the weapon styles, and I was going to final against Duke Edward, and he was better at Florentine and Graceford than I was. And 6 weeks later, I finaled against Duke Edward, and he was better at Florentine and Graceford, so I lost.
Okay.
The next one, I finaled against Ed, I beat him. Then I finaled against Ed again and lost. So, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something useful I can say out of that, but you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Losing sucks.
Well, Duke Patrick O'Malley says that he thinks he's lost more tournaments than you.
Patrick says that?
Yeah.
Ah.
Bragging rights. The two of you have to like.
Patrick's one of the few people that can make that claim because he's been fighting longer than me. So
Yeah, he has been.
Beginning.
He's been fighting a long time.
Yeah, he's been fighting since CAID was a principality. Yeah. About 4 years longer than I have, actually.
So
he took some time off in the mid 90s. He was gone for about 5 or 10 years, fight more. So
yeah,
I've been losing tournaments constantly for 35 plus years. So I've been winning them too, but
yeah. If somebody else was sort of close to getting knighted, but they had the same sort of like fringy, like I don't really want to be a knight attitude, what would be your advice to them?
I would have to talk to them and figure out why they were that way.
Okay.
Because I was that way because I made some stupid decisions when I first started, and I was too arrogant to change my mind. And I'm
stubborn. Stubborn.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's funny that you felt like you made this decision at the beginning of your path, and that you had to stick with it, because one of the things that's really cool about the path, right, is that you mature and you grow and you are a different person. I mean, all of us, you can
make your own path too, which is good.
What'd you say?
You can also make your own path. So.
Right. So I think it's interesting that you felt like you had to stick to it, but you didn't in the end, right? Yeah. So, all right. Well, do you have your stick there?
I have a stick here.
Okay, let's look at it. All right. So is that an aluminum basket hilt?
This is, like I said, this is not mine. I use the Baldar plastic one. So.
Okay.
And my sword is 37 inches long. The thrusting tip is about 34 probably. So.
Okay, so you do use a thrusting tip?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you use a trigger or a lanyard?
I use a lanyard. I have used a trigger in the past. So.
Is there a reason why you don't like it as much?
It fell off my sword. I didn't put it back on.
Okay. It's not really a preference. It's just what happened.
I'm very lazy, by the way. So.
Okay. Well, hence the sloth, right? I love your device, by the way. It's awesome. So, for people that don't know, he has a sloth on his device, like hanging from a branch. It's very cool. What'd you say?
Pendant.
Oh, suspended.
Pendant.
It's called pendant.
Yeah, I found out that the heralds had to make a special rule for me, so I'm grandfathered in. I'm the only person who can have a sloth or any device, any hanging animal.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
I think it is.
Yeah.
What?
Is there something that is added? No.
No, she is. Someone's over here pointing at me with my belt. I'm not sure.
Oh.
Has slots on the belt.
My belt.
Oh.
Right there, look.
Oh, there they are.
You see that?
Yeah, those are cool.
There's a sloth.
Yeah. So Sir Valora asks if you make swords different for your right and left hand. Do you fight two stick?
I fight two stick, and I do not make a difference with the sword.
Okay.
Probably should, but I'm not good enough to know the differences. So.
Right. But do you put the hilts on differently so that you're no?
I should, but I don't.
So they're interchangeable.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. I can't do that. Like it doesn't feel right. But maybe if I didn't worry about it.
Well, if you can tell a difference, and by all means do it, but
yeah,
that's not good enough. I grab two swords, like, all right, this will work. And if I bark one of all the bar somebody else to use that, I don't care. So
I think you would win the prize for like the most easygoing person ever.
woo.
All right, well, let's do a final 10. What event have you never gone to that you would like to go to?
That I've never gone to?
Mhm.
Oh, Sport Kings.
Oh, you got to come then.
Yes.
Yes, 2021, August 19th through 22nd.
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm going to hound you because I'm coordinating teachers. Would you like to teach?
Maybe, sure.
All right. Well, I will follow up.
Okay.
All right. If you could fight anyone in the world, who would it be?
Oh, like this current or past president or
Anyone.
Karai Lack of the Bow. I've heard great things about him.
I don't think I've ever seen him fight, but man,
I haven't either. I just heard wonderful things about him.
yeah. What is your? Oh, go ahead.
Now is Sir Mark from the West. I haven't fought or Duke Mark. I haven't fought him yet.
Oh, he is very good.
I had a chance to fight him at a Penzic about 8 years ago. I'd either fight him or fight Brandos. And it's like, oh,
Well,
Mark
yeah.
on the West Coast, I'll see him next. I'll see him sooner. So I fought Brandos.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well,
Worth it.
you know, SCA wise, you live down the street from Mark, right? Like,
Yeah.
So I probably would have picked Branos in that situation too, just because you're more likely to cross paths with Mark at a Great Western War or something.
Okay. I saw this. It's like I have never fought Brandos. I've heard great things. I want to fight them both, but I'll see him again.
What is your
Oh, the other
favorite?
Duke Sven from NCR too. I haven't fought him. So the Florentine Duke Sven, he's supposed to be fantastic.
See, I want to get all the Svens together.
I do too.
Yeah.
We had 3 of us at the Sean thing 2 years ago. There were 3 of us at that. But
Really? So
Fourth one,
which one was missing? The Dragonfeld Sven?
yeah, we didn't have Rockwold then.
Okay. Yeah, I want to get all you guys together and I don't know. I just think it would be fun.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite Great Western War story?
Favorite Great Western War story? Being king and being able to. I laureled my squire, which is there's no stigma in that kind because of the way that they work things. She passed things.
Right.
I also got to knight her husband the next day, so that was really cool.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah.
Was
Because he was so upset because he thought he was going to get through, and she said to me beforehand, if I'm getting laureled, he's not getting knighted that day. So I said, well, the next day. Said, okay. So we made him wait till the next day, and we kept telling him, well, at that tournament you got kind of drunk and did this, and he was so mad. And the next day we pulled up and knighted him anyways. That was a lot of fun.
your squire was Kiaran? Kiar. And she does all the Norse head covering stuff. Yeah.
Which is kind of weird that a stiff jock like me had a really really fancy little squire like that, but it happens.
Yeah, her stuff is super cool. All right. Who are your favorite people to watch fight?
Sean?
Yeah. He's so technically good. Which one?
Mark, because he fights great sword. Thomas, because Duke Thomas from Mid-Realm, or not Mid-Realm, the Glaive Fighter,
The Glaive.
Your Shield.
Oh yeah. Yes. He's good too.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a hero in the SCA, and if so, who is it?
A hero?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or just someone you really admire. It doesn't have to be a hero.
It's kind of weird, like, because there's the person you first start that, like, your ship is like, that's what that should be. That'd be Count Guy, sort of Guy de Coldray for me. Like, that's what that should be. Or Armand, Duke Armand's that way too.
Okay, cool. If you had to recommend one event in your kingdom from someone out of kingdom to go to, what would it be?
A what?
One event in your kingdom for someone out of kingdom to go to, what would it be?
Oh, an event? I would say Great Western.
Great Western?
That's the cool one.
What makes it cool?
It's a war. It's fun. There's lots of things happening, lots of people, lots of fighting. It's got a great tournament. It's got one of the best tournaments too. It's got the Rose Tourney.
I like did you just say Rose's Tourney?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. It's really one of the only camping events you guys have too, right?
Pretty much, yeah. We have other wars, like there's one down in San Diego, but mostly we're a day tripping kind of thing because it's so small you can drive from one side to the other in about 4 hours.
Yeah. So, all right, let's see, where are we? What book do you think everyone on the path to knighthood should read?
Oh. No, I have an answer.
You
I could
know?
do like the Art of War by Zhao, but yeah,
What about movie? Like, what's your favorite medieval-esque or period movie?
Knight's Tale.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, I'm not gonna give you guys there.
No, that's fun. If you could change one thing about the SCA, what would it be?
Make it happen again.
Make it what? Happen again? Okay.
COVID, yeah.
Yeah, I just, I wish everybody would just wear their masks and we could get over this thing.
Yeah.
What is your favorite in-kingdom tradition?
In Kingdom?
Yeah.
We have a Knights chain from the north, which is cool because I was the first knight to get knighted with it, so it got passed around by about 20 other people. So that's tradition. That to me, that's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
You started that tradition then.
Not intentionally, but yeah, somebody gave me I got knighted with this chain. I gave it to a friend of mine. You got knighted, you get to a friend of his, and we all happened to leave in the northern half of the kingdom. So it just became the standard. You're a knight in these four baronies. You got knighted with that chain. So
that's super cool. I love legacy chains like that.
yeah.
All right, and then the last question is, what do you think is the most important trait to become a successful fighter?
Perseverance.
Perseverance.
Love of the game. Just go out there.
All right, well, do you have anything else you'd like to share?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Your Grace, for talking to me. I appreciate it, and it's been fun. I know it's a little weird to have someone out of the blue contact you and say hey, but I appreciate it.
I talk about myself. Oh no, I hate that.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Wednesday, my sister and I are going to talk to Sir Fiat from Montier, and then on Friday, I am talking to Duke Michael from Artemisia, who is a fabulous martial artist and fight technician. So that should be super cool too. And so thanks again, Your Grace, and I'll see everybody later.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks.